So, 35,000 illegal migrants have crossed the English Channel under Sir Keir Starmer's government. And the breaking news tonight is that 1,000 people, 1,000, crossed today alone. But I actually have some more breaking news for you. I can exclusively reveal shocking, unseen footage of human traffickers operating on social media. One of them posted this video yesterday, which appears to suggest that he was in the Afghan Special Forces. Now, what you're looking at on your screens right now are pictures that they posted with guns and wads of cash. Can we keep that on the screen for a second? Because the uniform that that man was wearing in that video is actually the same uniform that was posted in news articles about UK Special Forces training Afghan Special Forces. So can you imagine, seriously, if it turns out that this guy is a UK-trained member of the Afghan Special Forces who is now a human trafficker? There are also worrying pictures as well, like this, of them wearing face masks, giving us a bit of a menacing stare there, and that single finger pointing to the sky, which has all the similarities of the infamous Islamist one finger, which means apparently Tawheed, which is there is no God but Allah. This video is from just over a week ago, which shows illegals piling onto a boat and heading to Britain. They're also brazenly posting pictures of what appear to be the Chinese-made mega-dinghies that have started crossing, carrying more than 100 people on board. So that's all the information that we've got there. We've just had a major terrorist attack in Britain. But please let it never be said that GB News didn't try to warn you and everyone about the potentially UK-trained Afghan Special Forces operatives, gun-carrying gangsters, illegally smuggling people into Britain as we speak. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. We've got Director of Public Services Mark Littlewood, businessman and activist Adam Brooks, and journalist Nina Mishkov. Right, so 1,000 people today alone, more than 1,000 today alone, and that bloke there who appears to be a member of the Afghan Special Forces, from what we can gather, is active now. He's active now. That video was posted on his WhatsApp story yesterday. Yeah, I mean, it seems to me that you and GB News are doing a bit more to smash the gangs than the UK government. Unbelievable, the paucity of the response from the UK government. There are ways to solve this. Look, it's no surprise to me that the sort of people involved in these gangs are nasty chaps, and the fact that it could be somebody who's gone rogue from some special forces thing, I guess that's to be expected. But what the government's got to do is got to call a national emergency. It's got to make it plain that if you come in from a country that is a safe haven already, like France, we will not entertain a claim for you to stay here or claim welfare, and that you will be deported either to your place of origin or to a third country. That needs to be done and carried out. Now, this government's now had more than a year, and it behaves as if it's just conducting some rain dance, that if they actually repeat over and over again, smash the gangs will fall away. They do the same with economic growth. It's absolutely unbelievable. And I was willing to give them a bit of time to put in place some systems to get this right, but I have no idea and no confidence what those systems might be. They're trying to ignore away the problem, and that is a disaster. Look, we have just had, by the way, we're going to talk about this later, Mr. Jihad, the jihadi with 3 wives, who called Manchester police to tell them that he was a member of Islamic State and was killing Jews on their behalf. But of course, as you will have seen from that clip in the bulletins, Manchester police are still working to identify a motive. But this stuff is happening right now in Britain, and there appears to be a highly trained member of the Afghan Special Forces there. Didn't particularly feel like sticking around to fight the Taliban, but he'll go to Calais and help bring people over to Britain.
Look, the worrying thing is Mr. Jihad that committed that heinous crime last week basically grew up here a large chunk of his life. So he's sort of westernised, and that's scary that that man can then go on and do the atrocity that he did. We are now importing men from villages in Afghanistan, from so-called war zones, that have seen butchery, that have seen people stabbed, murdered, their heads cut off, and now they are plonking them in hotels next to schools like in Epping. 1,000 people today. That's like another 6 Bell hotels that have just arrived today. That is the problem that we've got. And it's not just 1,000 that come now. In a few years, they always bring 4 or 5 family members. They might be distant family members, but they always con the Home Office and get them family members over. So today alone, we've probably just had 5,000 come over for the next few years in one day.
Well, it's actually, they don't even have to do it that way if they don't want, because there was a Labour mayor who was being investigated for trying to bring several dozen members of his family and friends over from Bangladesh. So, you know, you could just do it that way, I suppose. So this is some of the footage from the channel. Just before I put this in, I don't know if we might be able to just remind our viewers and listeners the Afghan Special Forces clip that we played during that monologue there, if that's possible for us. Brilliant. Yeah, let's just bring that up again, please. Thank you. So for a bit of context, there with these skeleton masks on, they're exactly the same as when we were training the Afghan Special Forces. We released pictures of them being trained, and they all had the skeleton masks on as well. So it really would appear to add up. He's put a big arrow on it. It was on his WhatsApp story. He's trying to say that's him. What do you mean? Is that a very present danger, Nina, do you think, to us?
There are always dangers.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, go on.
I've said less than half a dozen words, and you're sighing.
There's always dangers, but we're importing them.
Go on. But
hang on, you have no idea what I was about to say. The fact that 1,000 people came over today is a disaster, basically. It's always been a disaster, this whole problem, and it will continue to be a disaster until the weather changes. And thank God, you know, for this instance, winter is coming, and there won't be the same crowds, and they're trying to cram them in before the weather turns bad. I have enormous confidence in Shabana Mahmood. I think she is cracking down. I think she will make things turn around faster. As for bringing relatives across, they're already tightening that up. And in terms of legal migrants, they are tightening that up as well. For instance, Keir Starmer is in India today with meeting with Prime Minister Modi tomorrow. It's a big business thing. There's 125 trade delegation from Britain, which should bring us financial gains. But I assume tomorrow that he will be discussing the whole migrant thing, because the story was always going to be that in return for a trade deal, we would give far more visas, and he's made it very clear that that's not going to happen. About 250,000 Indians come here to study or to work, and that's not. It's
interesting we mentioned the Indians though, actually, because it has just reminded me of, you know, as part of this 150 in, 1 out deal that we've got with the French, one of those people that we sent back to France was an Indian man that we then decided that the French could deport to India, but perhaps we couldn't, which is a remarkable thing. I mean, we've actually, on this plane that Nina's mentioned, we've sent more people to India, haven't we, than we've actually managed to deport there. But again, though, it does come back to this, which is that monitoring social media, putting in a little bit of graft and getting WhatsApp contact details of some of these human traffickers, we are able to identify them with weapons, with potentially very dangerous pasts, etc. You know, why is it us doing this? You know, why?
Well, it is extraordinary. I mean, bear in mind, obviously, we don't have full jurisdiction of people in Calais, right? So I don't think our supposedly wonderful relationship with the French, which was all supposed to be cemented over recent weeks, is delivering the goods, is it? It's the French police force that need to be picking them up. And as I've argued endlessly on this programme, I think we should pay the French by results, not with a block grant every year, to get these people lifted. But to Nina's point about Shabana Mahmood, our newish Home Secretary, I mean, what what do we genuinely think, Nina, is going to change in 6 months? If we're sat on this sofa in 6 months' time, I agree with you that there might be some tightening of what they call chain migration, so you can't bring in your great aunt and your distant cousins and all the rest of it. But I haven't heard anything else from her about what she's going to tighten up.
I think she's come in and she has stamped her feet and things will happen. I think they really will.
It'd be good for her to articulate what those things are, wouldn't it?
Well, I have no idea what they are. I have no idea what they might be. The things, as you say, about these guys operating, these Afghanis operating there, as Mark said, as you said, you can't have British police going over there. You can't have the British Army rounding them up.
No, fine. Sorry, what I was trying to get on the screen then was this picture. So this is a Balaclava. Now, sorry, I don't know about the viewers and listeners there, but for me, when I saw that picture, the first thing I thought was Jihadi John.
Yeah.
So the kind of same menacing look in the eyes, the finger in the air, the kind of balaclava style thing. So we combine that with, the guns, the money, the Afghan Special Forces thing. Sometimes when people tell you things, you should just believe them, shouldn't you? like that guy.
Look,
yeah, go on.
Patrick, if there's anyone at home watching this that does not believe that we haven't got Hezbollah, Hamas, Houthi rebels, Al-Qaeda, ISIS fighters in these hotels, they're away with the fairies, because it's pretty obvious that we have, and it's pretty obvious that it's easy to get them into France and then just stick them on a dinghy and we put them up in a 3-star hotel and feed them until they decide to do something terrible.
The thing is, we don't know that, and there may be, who knows, 1 or 2, maybe half a dozen, but the bulk of them we haven't. You can't possibly.
How do you know?
I'm saying, well, how do you know? You can't possibly taint all these people as rapists, murderers. You become like Donald Trump.
And we've seen enough sexual assault to know that there's a serious problem within these hotels.
Well, there is in the Bell and Epping there were 2 men. Is that right?
There's been 2 men arrested on assaults and sexual assault.
Okay.
There's been a man that's been
and that
arrested
time,
on arson.
how many British men who are resident here have been arrested for sexual assault and rape?
Proportionately fewer. I think here's the worry, Nina, isn't it? And Patrick, you were alluding to this. It's speculative. You can't say it for certain. But it would be one thing if you saw these the people running these gangs saying, come this way, you'll get a free meal ticket, you'll get a PlayStation, you'll get to live in a hotel that's better than your living conditions at home. I mean, that would still be disastrous in terms of the public finances, but you wouldn't see that as a clear and present danger. Now, reading between the lines here, this seems to be more, we can get you over there if you're some sort of jihadist. Yeah. I mean, I'm making a bit of a leap there, but the pitch doesn't seem to be, we can put you in a nice hotel in Epping and get you 3 square meals a day. I mean, the pitch seems to be something rather nastier than that, doesn't it?
Because on that, it's a good point, because obviously regular viewers and listeners on this show, and we know we've done this kind of thing a couple of times, to say the least, before. But there are different types of people who do these adverts. Some of them it is the boats, and it is, look at this lovely food in the camp, and here's a hotel, and there's someone spraying some £20 notes around like a Premier Inn in Maidenhead or something. But that is a bloke basically saying, I'm Mr. Jihad Mark II. Yeah. And for people to look at him and go, you're my guy, I think is a very, very, very concerning thing. It will also turn out to be a huge slap in the face to Britain. We've had recently the Afghan scheme, which we were lied to about the Afghan scheme initially, where they'd been flying in a load of Afghans. Turned out that some of them were going back home to Afghanistan for their holidays. Turned out we've had the nephew of a Taliban commander who then brought over, I think it was 8 relatives or something along those lines.
But we're already safe in Turkey.
Yeah, we've been giving various different pieces of accommodation earmarked for Brits and armed forces to the Afghans. If it turns out that a bloke that we have trained to fight in the Afghan National Army is just a card-carrying human trafficker, and maybe quite radical as well, that's another massive slap in the face.
And it looks intentional. No, I'm not being conspiracy theorist. It looks like it's being allowed to happen, and you have to ask why.
Allowed to happen by whom?
I don't know, you tell me.
Well, I mean, you're saying that's allowed to happen.
Our authorities cannot be this stupid, Nina. Someone somewhere is not doing their job.
So are you
on purpose.
Saying that the authorities are allowing this to happen without doing anything about it?
There's certainly a lot of negligence. Yes. And, I mean, the big worrying thing is if you're putting up those videos on social media, they are intended to appeal to people who look at them and think, yeah, that's the guy I want as my tour guide. Yeah, that's the sort of guy I want. Yeah, you're speaking to my soul. He's the guy I'm going to employ.
What do you say the authorities, and who do you mean by the authorities? Madam.
I'm assuming.
Border Force.
Assuming me security service, but I mean, they would obviously deny it. But I mean, look, just for the sake of it, we didn't actually name check them anyway. But I just want to trying to be fair anyway. You know, the NCA and people like that would say that they're massively overwhelmed, that they are doing a great job, and we probably don't hear about half of the things that they stop. To that, I would probably say maybe we should hear about it.
Yeah, we should.
It might shut us up a bit. But anyway.